In the book The Rise of Viagra, How the Little Blue Pill Changed Sex in America, Professor of Sociology at Colgate University in New York, Mika Lowe, states that since the dawn of history, impotence has been defined as the inability to engage in sexual intercourse. This statement is distinct from infertility or the inability to reproduce. This impotence creates a barrier for a man who wishes to father an heir who will have his genes and his name. This journey has gone through several historical stages. In each stage, blame has been attributed to impotence, which MedicineNet.com defines as inability to sustain an erection or inability to achieve ejaculation, or both. Is it right to apportion blame to impotence? What is impotence truly about? And what are its treatments? Get ready to find out in this fantastic episode. You are watching Brand Impact, Untold Stories of Wealth and Business. In a world dominated by men, whenever a man felt he had a problem, his first instinct was to blame the woman. And inability to sustain an erection or inability to achieve ejaculation, or both, was no exception. In 1912, the chief of the Department of Genito-Urinary Diseases at Bronx Hospital Dispensary, Dr. William J. Robinson, who wrote over 12 books on sexual matters and problems, coined the term frigidity. He used this term to refer to women while justifying impotence in men. Of course, this was a very convenient justification for fragile masculinity, where some men would blame women rather than themselves. It was not just a random statement. It was the prevailing opinion in medical institutions, to the extent that in the 1950s, the American Medical Association estimated that 3 out of every 4 women in America suffered from frigidity. This notion persisted for many years, but due to the invention of birth control pills, which made women no longer fear sexual relations because they wouldn't lead to pregnancy, they began to demand their rights in sexual intercourse to a greater extent. It became expected that men fulfill their marital duties after it was previously the woman's role to encourage it. These birth control pills marked a historical turning point because, for the first time, blame was lifted from women, and men were expected to take responsibility for themselves. This transformation occurred concurrently with another shift in the relationship between organic medicine and psychiatry. At the beginning of the 20th century, due to the writings of the famous Sigmund Freud, it was considered that erectile disorders related to erections were one of the outcomes of stress, anxiety, and distraction. This was to the extent that in the first edition of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, DSM, by the American Psychiatric Association, impotence was translated as a psychogenic disease, meaning its origin is in the mind or psyche. Therefore, its treatment was seen as psychological. With the problems related to erection being considered a psychological disorder, their treatment was assumed to be psychological as well. However, all of this changed after the revolution brought about by medicine in the latter half of the 20th century. The prevailing opinion shifted towards the necessity of having an organic cause for organic problems, a concept known as medicalization. This expansion of the medical field began to encompass treating issues once considered psychological or social. The problems that originated in the mind were initially considered psychological and treated as psychogenic issues. This approach focused on exploring the patient's past experiences, including childhood, to comprehend their behavior. However, a revolution brought about by medicalization altered the paradigm, leading to a quest for organic causes, even in cases that initially appeared to be rooted in psychological factors. For instance, in the case of depression, medicalization sought to identify the organic factors that might lead to these symptoms, such as changes in brain chemistry. This approach paralleled the transformation that occurred in the treatment of impotence, where the predominant method shifted from psychological treatments to medical ones. In the case of impotence, medical interventions such as implants, surgical procedures for penile extension, and injections to induce erections as needed have become available. Some may see these interventions as methods of torture, So we should value the role of science, medicine, and pharmaceutical development in addressing various health issues. The search for a treatment for impotence continued until luck became an ally for the Pfizer company. Pfizer had gained prominence as a significant penicillin producer during World War II. However, after the war, the company's fortunes declined in favor of other companies like Johnson & Johnson. In 1989, in a town called Sandwich, a coastal city in England, a group of chemists at Pfizer was working on a low-priority, budget-constrained project. They had developed a chemical compound for treating chest pains and high blood pressure, a compound known as sildenafil citrate. Sadly, the tests yielded disappointing outcomes. In 1993, after 4 years of developing this compound, the company's management warned the team working on the medical trials. They told them they had 3 months, and the project would be cancelled if they didn't produce satisfactory results. During one of the final experiments conducted on some miners in a location in South Wales, the team asked them if there were any comments they wanted to share. You wouldn't believe what happened next. A shy worker raised his hand and broke the silence, saying, "This drug gives me an erection. Does that have anything to do with the experiment?" After some silence, the rest of the workers raised their hands. They said, "We also experience the same thing, and this drug has a positive effect on our marital life." It was so effective that they refused to return the remaining samples after the study ended. The reason sildenafil works is that it somewhat inhibits the enzyme that prevents blood from entering the male reproductive organ, which helps in achieving an erection. Besides all these details, the chemical team felt like they had discovered a treasure, and by pure chance, they might have found a treatment for impotence. They realized this could be achieved through oral tablets and began conducting more significant experiments to confirm the results and understand how this compound worked and its impact on impotence. After numerous trials conducted in multiple countries, the results were promising. It was confirmed that what happened with the miners was no accident. The preparations included the product that would change or enhance human life. However, despite the positive results, they needed to overcome significant challenges inside and outside the company before releasing this product to the public. For example, the company was afraid of announcing a drug related to sex and becoming a subject of ridicule. Talking about sex without a legitimate reason was not favorable, even in the 1990s in America and in the Western world. A product like this could indeed have potentially made a conservative company like Pfizer a subject of ridicule, or raised concerns about how men would admit to having impotence and be convinced to take such medication. The answer was to have the doctor prescribe the medication in the same way they would any other medication. By doing this, the stigma associated with discussing sexual issues in an upfront manner was somewhat less severe, and it made it easier for men to seek treatment without feeling embarrassed or stigmatized. This approach allowed individuals to view the issue from a medical perspective, much like any other health concern, and led to greater acceptance and use of the medication. The officials responsible for launching sildenafil at Pfizer recognized the importance of forming alliances with medical institutions to promote the medication as a severe and vital treatment for a condition affecting millions of people. The challenge wasn't just that patients were often too shy to discuss their condition. Doctors also faced hurdles in broaching the topic with patients. To address this issue, Pfizer took the initiative to train doctors to break through the embarrassment barrier. They requested doctors to write prescriptions for the compound when patients complained of impotence, allowing them to try the medication without shame or hesitation. This approach was crucial in encouraging open discussions about sexual health and helping patients access the treatment they needed. Pfizer anticipated that a product like this might face objections from the Church Fathers, so they sent representatives to the Vatican to discuss the idea. They found that the Vatican was very uncomfortable with the concept of marketing a product related to sex. They perceived it as a threat to the stability of families, fearing that if older men felt more youthful due to the medication, they might engage in infidelity with the excuse that their spouses were older while they still felt young. It's evident that millions of people would welcome such a product, while others would vigorously oppose it. However, these challenges didn't deter Pfizer. They were determined to launch their product, especially after investing in trials, doctor training, focus groups, and thousands of studies that cost over $100 million. The potential impact of the medication on people's lives and relationships was a driving force for the company. In 1998, FDA approval was obtained. The FDA is the government agency responsible for approving food and drugs for market release. They stated that the product was good, and an agreement was reached to launch sildenafil in the form of a blue pill, which was named Viagra. The exact reason behind the naming of this pill is not known. Still, some suggest that the name was chosen for its resemblance to the power and fertility associated with Niagara Falls. There's a belief that drugs starting with the letter V tend to achieve commercial success. A few months later, Viagra was introduced to the market, and Pfizer realized that the best way to market the treatment was to sell the disease itself. They were aware that a name like impotence had negative connotations that might discourage men from trying the medication. Instead of using the term impotence, they introduced the term erectile dysfunction, giving the idea that it's a much simpler problem that could be quickly resolved. Pfizer began funding scientific studies and research on erectile dysfunction, aiming to reduce the embarrassment for potential customers. They promoted the idea that over half of men over the age of 40 suffered from erectile dysfunction, under the slogan, "We all have it." This approach made impotence a common condition, just like a cold, and implied that it could happen to anyone, with treatment as easy as taking a simple pill without the need for surgeries or injections. All of these strategies led to Viagra achieving tremendous success in its first year on the market. It broke barriers and generated sales exceeding $1 billion. Men started relying on it, not only as a treatment for sexual inadequacy, but also as a performance enhancer. In the year 2000, Viagra was being prescribed in over 200,000 prescriptions every week. In 2002, Pfizer became the fifth largest company in the United States regarding profits. Within 20 years of Viagra's introduction, sales exceeded $30 billion, and it paved the way for many other companies to enter the highly profitable field of sexual enhancers. Viagra became a part of popular culture and currency, featuring prominently in movies, TV shows, songs, and programs. Its fame surpassed that of birth control pills and penicillin, becoming one of the most well-known medications in America. Viagra has also swept through the markets, experiencing tremendous growth even in impoverished countries. For a significant number of people who suffer from poverty and endure challenging working conditions with long hours, sexual activity is the most accessible and affordable means of happiness and pleasure. Also, for them, sex is the cheapest sport, and this is one of the key reasons behind the tremendous success of Viagra worldwide. Unfortunately, despite the significant success achieved by Viagra in restoring the confidence and sexual abilities of millions of men, it has also placed pressure on many other men to always remain ready for sexual activity. This pressure has led to what is known as performance anxiety. Viagra's promotion of the postmodern body model, which suggests that a man's body is like a machine that never tires or falters and is always ready for action, is a mistaken belief. This misconception can create undue pressure on many individuals. In summary, just as women face pressure from cosmetic companies, men are subjected to pressure from certain pharmaceutical companies. While women are expected to stay beautiful, with their femininity tied to their appearance, men are also expected to be always ready and prepared, and their masculinity has become linked to their performance. Although the medication is designed to help men who have erectile dysfunction due to organic reasons, the assumption that a man's body is a tireless machine required to perform at all times represents a form of objectification. It implies that men never tire or get fatigued, and that their daily challenges and economic pressures are not supposed to affect their physical health. This assumption is a significant injustice to men. Companies often attempt to provide a medical solution to social problems, even though the real issue is not easily resolved with a pill. No magic pill will reduce debt or eliminate the fear of the future. However, these pills offer a quick and easy solution to complex problems, one of the critical reasons for their success. In his book, The Viagra Myth, Dr. Abraham Morgentaler, a practicing urologist on the faculty of Harvard Medical School, explains that many men believe Viagra is a magical solution that will address all their problems, such as increasing desire toward their partners. However, Viagra only treats issues related to erectile dysfunction, not overall desire, which is influenced by testosterone levels. Without adequate testosterone, desire won't be present, even with the use of an entire box of Viagra pills. The process is not that simplistic, and marital problems aren't solved with a single pill. We cannot conclude whether the pill is good or bad. The clear and most important thing is that it is a medication designed to address a straightforward issue if identified. While it may bring some hope in your sexual life, there will be days of excellence and days when your performance might be less than stellar. Embrace yourself throughout this journey. My 2 cents? Love and harmony in a marital relationship are far more intricate aspirations for which no cure has been found. We hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, click on the notification bell to be notified every time we drop a lit video. Be sure to watch our previous episodes. We always welcome your criticisms and appreciate your thoughts about us. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.